Did you know that coffee was discovered by Arabs? I always thought that drinking coffee was a Western habit. It seems an Arab goat herder noticed a change in the mood of the goat when they ate a certain berry. He boiled the berries and came up with the first coffee. The numbers that we use today are called Arabic numerals, as they are the work of Muslim mathematicians. The style of our numerals in the West is Arabic and first appeared in print in the work of Muslim mathematician around 825 century. Algorithms and much of the theory of trigonometry, the word algebra and some of its principles all came from the Muslim world. Alhamdulillah. Now we have sent 7 students informing us about some of our other Muslim inventions.
आज जहाँ हमारी कौम तालीम और साइंस से दूर हो चुकी है, वहाँ हम ये जानेंगे कि मुस्लिम साइंसदानों ने कैसे कारनामे अंजाम दिए। 7वीं जमात की तालिबात हमें अपने ड्रामा मुस्लिम इन्वेंशंस के ज़रिए रूबरू कराएंगी ऐसी हस्तियों से जिन्होंने हमारी ज़िंदगी को आसान बनाने वाली कई चीज़ों की इजाद की है। सीन 1।
अस्सलामु अलैकुम व रहमतुल्लाहि व बरकातुहू।
वालेकुम अस्सलाम व रहमतुल्लाहि व बरकातुहू।
Okay class, today I am giving each group of you a different era of history to research. And the question is, what impact did your era have on the modern world? So Sarah, your group has the ancient Greeks.
Oh wow, fabulous.
Samra, you get the Romans.
Amazing, that's great.
And Eamon's group gets a bit of a challenge from you. You get the Middle Ages. Some even call it as the Dark Ages.
Boring.
See how you get on.
Yes, miss.
Scene 2, Library.
Is that the librarian?
How can the Dark Ages have anything to do with us?
Excuse me, sorry to bother you.
What do you want?
We need to find out what impact the Dark Ages had on the modern world.
Never was a period of history so poorly named. I suppose someone's been filling your head with the usual nonsense. Say, 1,000 wasted years. A black hole in history? Am I right? It's always the same. You assume it was all dark, disease, death, and destruction, with marauding mobs, barbarians, ripping down the good of the former civilization, burning and plundering as they went. Nothing of any worth invention either.
Sorry to bother you.
Come on, it's probably not worth it. Everyone knows that the Greeks and the Romans invented everything anyway.
Did they know? You're sure about that, are you? You know, I might just have something for you.
Where are we going?
I don't know, ask her.
Excuse me, where are we going?
From darkness into light, my young friend. From ocean onto the land, there are things you should know. Now take a look, if you dare.
What's going on?
Welcome to the Dark Ages, or as it should be known, the Golden Ages.
I thought you said this was the Dark Ages. It doesn't look very dark.
That's because it's all a matter of perspective, which might soon be illuminated. Friend, there are parts of the world that weren't dark at all, but in a civilization that stretched from Spain to China, the golden rays of discovery and invention shone over everything.
What civilization?
The Muslim civilization, my young friend, through scholars and scientists of various faiths, some of the most important discoveries known to man were made at this time. Discoveries that drew on knowledge of the ancient but have more connection with your modern world than you could possibly ever imagine.
Like what?
Like all sorts of things.
Got to get a picture of this.
I knew it was a good idea.
Who are you?
I represent Hassan ibn al-Haytham, a great scientist whose ideas led to the invention of the camera.
He invented the camera.
He laid the foundations for modern cameras by explaining how our eyes work and found a way of projecting an image onto another surface through a small hole in a dark room, later called the camera obscura. Think of all the things that evolved from this discovery. Cameras, cinema, all share the same principle.
Cool. Look out, who's that?
I represent Abbas ibn Farnas. He gazed up to the heavens, passionate in his belief that man could fly. Indeed, he dared to dream about flying 1,000 years before the Wright brothers. Do you know that you all take your jet-setting holidays for granted? So it only seems fair to remember Abbas.
Ouch! My hand. Someone please call the doctor.
Did someone call for me?
Why don't you introduce yourself to my young guest?
I represent Abu Qasim. Many call him the father of surgery.
Did he actually do the surgery back then?
Yes, in fact, many of the surgical tools that he invented are still used in the modern hospitals by us. Let me show you. Scalpel. Abu Qasim used cat guts from the guts of animals, which is perfect for stitching up the internal wounds. Our surgeons are still using it today.
Who's she?
She represents Maryam al-Astrolabi, one of the many brilliant women who once made sophisticated astrolabes.
Astro what?
Astrolabes. They show the sky and the stars on a small flat plate. You can hold it in your hand. Think of them as an ancient calculating or timekeeping devices. Today, have U-Watcher compass and satellite navigations help people and explorers travel the world. Science had a brilliant burst, and all these things were developed during the golden ages. That's just the tip of the iceberg. There were thousands of other inventions covering all areas of life. And in the years that followed, the influence spread across the whole of medieval Europe. So, you see, it wasn't so dark after all.
Who are you? Who do you represent?
I represent Ismail Al-Jazari. He has made some groundbreaking advances in engineering. The most significant discovery was that discovery which converted rotary motion into linear motion using a crank and connecting rod. It's essential in pumps and engines. In fact, I have no idea how the Industrial Revolution could have happened hundreds of years later without such a device. Would he ever get the credit? His crowning glory was the amazing time-telling machine, his legendary elephant clock. It's a clock with dozens of components collected from different cultures from around the world, like Indian, Greek, Arabian, Egyptian, and Chinese.
That's pretty cool.
Did it tell the time?
Yes, if it wasn't for him, thousands of people would be late for everything.
Speaking of time, we better get you back and remember to spread the word. This is the golden age. I have only shown you a tiny part of this wondrous time. There are countless other scientists and inventions directly connected to your modern age. You are going to have to find out yourselves.
That wasn't quite so boring. Come on, we are going to be late.
Scene 3, Classroom.
So, what have we learned? The Romans, the Greeks, the Renaissance, and the Industrial Revolution all have great relevance to us today. Our Interpret Dark Ages group. You probably had much harder time finding any connections with the modern world.
Miss, that's not strictly true. Let's take you all to witness what we just saw.
मैं फारसी में अल्लामा इकबाल का शेर पेश कर रही हूँ। लज्जत ईमान फ़ज़ायत दर अमल, लज्जत ईमान फ़ज़ायत दर अमल, मुर्दाआन ईमान के नायत दर अमल। तर्जुमा: अमल के ज़रिए से ईमान की लज्जत में इजाफ़ा होता है। अमल के ज़रिए से ईमान की लज्जत में इजाफ़ा होता है। वो ईमान मुर्दा हो जाता है, वो ईमान मुर्दा हो जाता है जिस पर अमल ना किया जाए। The sweetness of faith increases with the good of your action. Faith dies that is not acted upon. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.